télévision ni radio la carola ñun la daraja tabi mol ka ñun la wani multimedia Africa and diaspora atare nata modu be ala fu Mamos media multimedia Africa wani diaspora wala nata modu be ala fu Mamos media atele nata modu be ala fu Mamos nene bojan sangarango oh nene afana be Oslo de no.
Good evening and welcome to today's news review. You live on Mamos Radio. I'm your host Rohi Konatige.
Welcome to Gambia Today News Review. Listeners, you're tuned into Mamos Radio on Mamos Media. It is Wednesday, 20th of January 2021. I am Nene with the nation's top headlines. Gambia soon to receive new COVID-19 vaccine, MOH. The Director of Health Promotion, Mr. Modinjai, has revealed that the government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Health would soon introduce the new COVID-19 vaccination. Speaking to journalists on Tuesday at the National Drugstore in Kotu, Njai said his ministry will soon start introducing the new COVID-19 vaccine. Quote, "We are about to introduce the new COVID-19 vaccine across the country. As soon as we receive the vaccine tested and approved by the World Health Organization, we will start using it. As to how the vaccine is going to be distributed, when it is available, we will let you know," unquote, he stated. Remembering 19th of January 2017, President Barrow expresses gratitude. State House, Banjo, 19th of January 2021. This day in 2017, His Excellency President Adama Barrow was sworn in at the Gambian Embassy in Dakar, Senegal, after his undisputable victory in the presidential elections of December 1st, 2016. The inauguration of President Barrow marked the beginning of an era of prosperity in all spheres of Gambian society. 4 years down the line, the Gambia remains committed to the values and principles of democracy, something that the country was deprived of for more than 2 decades. Under the leadership of President Barrow, the country has witnessed exceptional developments, particularly in the area of road infrastructure, bearing in mind that the infrastructure development is key to the advancement of the country's socioeconomic status. Obituary announcement. The Chief of the Defence Staff, Gambia Armed Forces, the Deputy Chief of Defence Staff, the Commander, Gambia National Army, the Commander, Gambia Navy, the Commander, Republican National Guards, General Officers, soldiers, and ratings of the Gambia Armed Forces regret to announce the untimely demise of Navy Lieutenant Baifal of the Gambia Navy. This sad event occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, 19th of January 2021. The sad news is extended to His Excellency the President Adama Barrow, the Honourable Minister of Defence and Cabinet Ministers, his family members, relatives and friends in the Gambia and abroad. Burial would take place at his residence in Kersering on Wednesday, 20th of January at 1400 hours, while asking Allah to grant his family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Gambia faces high risk of ecological catastrophe. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, Fafa Sanyan, has warned that the Gambia faces high risk of ecological catastrophe if the necessary countermeasures are not taken soon. He made this statement at the launching of the nationwide awareness-raising campaign on distribution of efficient cook stoves held at the Petroleum House yesterday. Quote, as a Saharan country with high rate of desertification, coupled with high dependency on the forest for energy, the Gambia faces high risk of ecological catastrophe if the necessary countermeasures are not taken soon, unquote. He added that the government, together with development partners, is taking measures to address the loss of country's forest cover, including reducing high dependency on the forest for energy. The point. 4 years of Barrow under microscope, a tale of successes and failures. 4 years ago, a new president, Adama Barrow, was inaugurated in Senegal to replace Yahya Jammeh, who lost the 2016 presidential election. Jammeh initially refused to hand over power, but the West African regional bloc ECOWAS intervened with the threats of a military action before he relinquished power and fled into exile. Mr. Barrow became president at the head of a coalition government who was sworn in January 2017. The United Democratic Party Administrative Secretary, Legal and Human Rights Affairs, Almami Tal said, quote, beyond the divergent views and the peace that continue to exist, this government has demonstrated ineptitude on a scale that is really scandalous, unquote. Tal added that the constitutional and institutional reforms that Gambians were pulling their hopes on have been an unmitigated failure. IEC GPPA standoff. IEC says government not cooperative. Officials of the Independent Electoral Commission IEC on Tuesday, 19th of January 2021 reviewed to the National Assembly Select Committee on Lands, Regional Affairs and Ombudsman that the government is not cooperating in their bid to resolve the standoff between them and the Gambia Public Procurement Authority GPPA. IEC appeared before the aforesaid Select Committee to advance reasons for deferral of the voter registration slated in January 14, 2021 and also outlined some of the hurdles they're grappling with. GPPA. IEC alleged that GPPA Ministry of Finance and the executive headed by Adama Barrow are not doing enough to resolve the standoff between them. IEC Chairman Ali Momanjai said the voter postponement was directly caused by the government's failure to approve a letter of credit written to the Ministry of Finance to serve as a guarantor for the Commission to acquire a loan from Zenith Bank at an interest rate until the GPPA approves the procurement budget. Listeners, that was today's headlines. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Nene, for today's news review. Listeners, you live on Mamos Radio. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Good evening. Takes a look at the and the United States. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Good evening, listeners. I am your presenter, Sainab Njaiba. A coroner has warned smart motorways present an ongoing risk of future deaths as he ruled the lack of a hard shoulder contributed to 2 drivers dying on the M1, reports the Daily Mail. The Prime Minister is considering delaying an end to the £20 a week boost to universal credit, which was introduced last year to help families cope during the pandemic, reports the Eye. COVID jabs will be diverted to areas falling behind on vaccinating the over 80s amid concerns about regional disparities in the program, claims The Times. A seriously ill 80-year-old girl with a rare blood disorder has been given a vital transplant after another donor backed out at the last minute and her parents then searched for a new hero, reports the Daily Mirror. TV star Jeremy Clarkson has packed outraged after telling families to stop complaining about the poor quality of free food parcels, according to the Daily Star. Experts and politicians have said people in high-risk minority ethnic groups must be prioritized for COVID immunizations, alongside a targeted publicity campaign, writes The Guardian. Boris Johnson has warned the country faces a precarious situation despite the swift vaccination rollout, but vowed things will look very different by spring, reports the Daily Express. Government scientists have warned ministers that millions of people are likely to start ignoring COVID restrictions once they have been vaccinated, reports the Daily Telegraph. The Sun leads with its Jobs Army campaign, which has passed its target of recruiting 50,000 volunteers to help with the UK's COVID vaccination program. Metro reports that a surge in software used to spy on staff working from home during the pandemic has led to calls for new laws against unscrupulous bosses. Thank you, listeners. That was the UK national newspaper's headlines. Please stay tuned. After the break, we take a more detailed look at the front pages of the Daily Mirror and the... Welcome back, listeners. Let's take a close look at the front page of the Daily Mirror, which leads with the headline, "At last, something to smile about." There is something to smile about amid all of the virus gloom, says the Daily Mirror, as it reports an 8-year-old girl has had a life-saving stem cell transplant. All hope seemed to have been lost for Evie Hudson after a donor had backed out, it adds. The seriously ill girl with a rare blood disorder had been given a vital transplant at the last minute after her parents had to search for a new hero, the paper reports. Pictured on the front page is a smiling Evie as she recovers in hospital. Turn to page 9 for the full story. Also featured on the front page of the Daily Mirror are pictures of Rebecca Vardy and Colin Rooney with the caption, "Wags at war, head for final face-off." The paper reports on Rebecca Vardy's libel claim against Colin Rooney. Turn to page 11 for details of that report. Listeners, we now take a look at the front page of the Metro, which leads with the headline, "Work from home spies alert." 1 in 5 farms now linked to snooping on staff. Unions call for laws to block intrusive employers. The Metro leads on a warning from unions that there has been a surge in secret software used to spy on staff working from home in the pandemic. The paper says there are calls for new laws against unscrupulous bosses who unfairly punish staff deemed to be slacking when they are caring for children or sick relatives. That story continues on page 4. Also on the front page is a picture of the Prime Minister Boris Johnson, captioned "The PPE Prime Minister." The Prime Minister is pictured wearing a full protective suit as he visits an Oxford vaccine laboratory. That is a report on the coronavirus crisis, and details of that can be read on page 5. Thank you, listeners. That was the UK national newspapers. You have a good evening.
We'll be back with the Mandinka News with Lamin Marong. And
alaikum badumul mbali konton na tolu nal konton di mala nal badi ma Lamin Marong dul kay kiya man sam felen dunta abela moy kan Mamos la radi bumbala kala kan kachamen kale dron bajanin ka ke fonsi molu tentu anin ka fuula men ya lonko ina ta purkan sembentu ya wana bela wal kono tridi kam la kafuba mba fa ya barka ba ke be duku keno nyimena neno Mamos na foundation be Gambia mba fole ala barka ba ke la kafonya ton kunin ka fodingulu anina duku la men be Gambia bantala be betentu lela duku kendola mise menke ngaki waro ko folo diala janen ka don ke waro fon kono iko in tembola masakunda meme maralin jara kende fannala iko be ferobe ke kan kaje pour nyin covid boro men ibado kunde kan pour asifura no gambe nyamen anisa commencer pour ka di mol nyamen iko wata kala kumerinte iko nyin fanan be mol haklo blande ko nal haklo ba kan serun waran sangol men tambita ni kunun tumo tubabu karoti tan anin kononto o watolo mu president Adama Barrow pour ka kalindi pour ka ke Gambien president oti yemen ke Gambia la embassy to mimo Senegal mbo kibaro fanan futandalma anum fanan eko military lieutenant mem banta nyi watolu sojaro o kibaro fanan mbo fanan futandalma anum fanan eko beyin tembo nyi mento eko fomolu si hakilotu bake ko nyi watolu abokolari mbake ninata balundir fengul la nyala Gambia eko kula me alonko minister meme maralin petroleum ani energy fafa sanyang ayo banke ako fomo si korasuro ke wala fanan ko ñenam be sanjinani jamalo kono bring president Adam Barrow banko nyinta anu berbo korsuro ke kana fanna bela ka jiben ala marolo ni santema faye duko menke wonyantal pour moya jayi waram faye man kulbe laare nyam fu mo nyanda ka jalay yum kibaro fanan mbo fanan futandalma anu IEC wol fanan yela wosi dañi yitande ko be tembo mento e be balambambe kerim pour to la duko men nyanda ka continue pour ka ni registration men nyanda ka ke ala sungo bayo iko masakunda man pare puruni ya doko nyinke mbo kibaro fanan futandalma badum semen keton adun kibaro nyim fan kono Gambia la mansakunda membe baralin hadamadun la jada kende ya fanala ila director memo health promotion Mr. Momodu Njai anyim banke ako mansakunda be fero be kan kekanne pour kaje e benyin vaccine yin priba dun la banko kan nyamen abaka chake kan ani jolondi solo nyin talata tambela yemenke national drug store membe kotu Mr. Njai anyim banke ako sambi atakela kumeri nde fanan Gambia fanan be boro shotla membe danne nyin kuran jawoyin menge da COVID-19 ne ako nga fero landile anu ne afuta da fanan ye tasterul kele anu dunia la jarkenda kafuba memu world WHO kul fanan ko resuro ke anu to fané labulo landile ka juben e be fero jumala kala pour na afuta da banko kan e bani be mulu demala nyamen ki wabuna men safe wala mo Mamos la media team iko nyi tobo karo kunu men keta tiltan anin konondoti o wato leketa briye president Adam Barrow pour ka kalindi pour ka ke president oti yemenke Senegal na embassy membe taranu je December karo kono 2016 iko alo utkalendere wato aketa wala keta dandiroti president the former president Yaya Jammeh ala maralo nyinto ko wato ngalonne koleal membe laring mojo malu kan atla manse ya danto wato le anu wato le mi alon ko kera president Adam Barrow na manse ya ta ko nal haklo ba fanan kan ko Yaya ay maralo kemen siata sanye muwanti kana wodandi wata kile nyin keta kute mi alon ko akata mojo ma baye tarande birintu mo men Adam Barrow ya ganyero ke kate men keta me alon ko so dar man so de ka be ta do ko nyanda kata nyamin anu wata president Yaya Jammeh men tata no maralo landa la balang pour kaji wala nata ke Africa la tundol la sojaru nata kaf nyoma pour kaje ko ba bonde la nyamen pour president Adam Barrow sisi no nyamen e mbadon ci waro fana me o safe Mamos la media le ñu fana fintende iko insanga kibaro fana men keda chief defense member sojarol nyatunko anu nyatunko normalanko staff anu commander member armed forces anu commander member navy anu ami la nyatunko lu anu sojarol wal control la nyatunko lu nyimbe ko nyi kuran balafati ila badema la kanuntema e kafme navy lieutenant Mbay Fall ko wala min jodata nyin talata tambila to bakaro tildan anin kononto iko insanga kibaro ba futandla president his excellency president Adam Barrow aning ministry of defense anala cabinet mumel belu aning Gambia no mul be damen Gambia bantala iko be nyin kibaro nyin sanga kibaro nyi ba futandla mo bela iko bada nyin be kala kerseri nyin arab bi arabo wala keta ala bade nyin ti talamfula ye bade nyin kewolto iko be mo be dala pour mo be si blola manso e pour sudu pour ala si la jang sonande sabante yani sabante freto mal mumé Mamos la kibar bundala fane nyim bondi iko nyin keta kuti me alonko iko ni man korsiro ke ministry member maralin petroleum and energy la fafa sanyan ako mbe dandalaro ke kan ko nim man ferolu landi pour kaje batamembe findi kan ni watolu abekala nya mantora balati ayin kibaro ni bondi ako nyin kete banko bele suloti kaje ko nga ferolu landi pour ka aje ko tabirolu wara fengolu me ya lon ko e ke wolel tay ke tabet lawti nimu kuta me ya lon ko nyanta ka korosir kala baka nimma ke abekela ngatan balati e Gambia kan ako ni nata jibe fanan de molbe yirole men boy kan ni fana mo kuta me yalon ko fana be bata bale sambala nan ni mol man fero laji wara man fero lu wara man korosirol ke ka jibe benin bondi la nyamen ni nga nyala kan dron abeka la bata bale bankote anu ngabe na mo bele man torola ako fane ba fala fanan ko moma yalon ko bulo e koben waran idunda kuto e be mobe fanan dana pour mobe si bulo ka funyoma ay ke mobe suloti pour kaje mbeñi ferulu mbe tenkumbala nyamen e point la newspaper wala yin safe ko president Adama Barrow ko ni watolu e molbe korosiro ke kam bake ala maralo ni sain tema ka jiben foba fla e doku kendo la kaba marba fla ko aman doku kendo ke nyim kute me alonko e ko sain e molbe bolo korosiro ke kan birintu mena ya kalendi kana ke mansote Gambia tumo mena yaya boyndi carte fa wala 2016 sawni kono e ko bare ngaklo ba kana fanan ko president jamme biriya boyndi fana man pare ka fintinu o wato lan ekomo la mulu afrika la sojaro lunata mamman ka dunnan pour ka fo ba ya forseto wulende la wato la nata wudaya afindita atata banku doto boro kamala fanan United Democratic Party ila secretary mem mararing ila luwalu lanya kunya la anin inin jokinyololu men keta almame talti ayin fo akonyin keta miroti anu aketa kufanante me yalon ko ay wosisile ko itul kammen be fo dala ani kamenu ke la kebarulu yimbe keta kuta me yalon ko abemu la nyinolati kuman traje me yalon ko isafo yeso fale a kontinenta fo akoye luwalu ni men fana landi ani ka taman labulul men nyama ni mukulete me ya lonko amantani silola atala mametala nyim banke ki war buna men safe wala mo standard la newspaper te IEC GPPA be ko be IC tumi ko man pare pour ni doko ke wara man pare pour ka demaro ke e la fraka doko nyimenke ta Independent Electoral Commission IEC yin talata tambila to ba karotil tan anin kononto e ko yin yitandi National Assembly la menketa député Bumbati ka yita anin ka fomel londi membe korosuro ke kan bankulu kunyala anin o kono kulu lanyala yin yitandi la ko ye ferulu melandi pour si sonendre keno nyamen pour que la doko men nyanda ka ke ko hansain e belodun dulakino lo kumambo no iko da IEC e ko nyinfo iko yenyinu banke in kafu men sita men ka korosiro ke nyulula iko niaje ye ferol landi pour ka registration on nyinka Gambia nyin January karo men tilitan anin nan la nyanda ko commencer barolo bayo nyin sunta ko menna wala mu ye ngatango nun kole akulu men soto pour isi GPPA me alonko man sakunda ka folo londi pour ka de Maroke waranka bulodi molula waranka folo la men ya lonko inibe doko ke kanan pour ka fannalu dolu sonandi membe ko IEC la doko lu fo sifalu e ko bari ni menke hansain e belori wampare ka de Maroke anu toliye president Adama Barrow la jalay ko amampare pour ka kuma fo nyune waranka kukaje pour to lu nyanta doko menke la memme ni registration de pour continuer no nyamen ani manka ku da kuta koto ni narration ala bayro nyina ate IEC la kiaman menke da Aliou Alhaji Aliou Mamour Ndiaye akoniaje nyimbaita aketa kuta me yalon ko masa kunda man korsirike ware man demaro ke ko e safaro ke kayitandi la ko ilafta ituleke sedeti purisi minister meme marale naflo kunyala pra sikeno e sedeti puri nyanda ko do menta ka do ko ke ka bondi Zenith Bank pour ici la doko nyin continue no nyanko ya hame nyame pour jani ba fula masakunda beto la kudo dilela e ko bar hansain e manjabiri ke ani mankuta koto wala tana yeto nyanta doko menkele e makeno kibar bunna men safe wala mo fore la newspaper te e mbaade ngol ñenema kibaroto men fotata may temmen na ka fota dalma na be tata ko man solo no la nga fa ma fo kun sawndal salo na haramadi na so damal mu anal baadi mala men baron dol kay kiyam man samba fala ne mbara fa nyatonto.
Thank you, listeners. That was the end of tonight's news review and commentary from the Mamos team.
media. Atelenata Modubi, Alafu Mamos. Mamos media. Walenata Modubi, Alafu Mamos. Television on the radio, la Carola. You let her get a bee. More can you the winning.